And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at a game called Dominations: Road to Civilization. Now, I didn't really know anything about this game when it came in. It was on Kickstarter a couple years ago. It's from Holy Grail Games though, and I really liked the last game that they put together, Museum. That was fun. And I tend to like Civilization games, although I'm very wary of them because either they're very long and complex or they're abstracted out and shorter. Well, this one is definitely abstracted out, I'll tell you that right now. But it does have some interesting ideas, beautiful components, so let's take a look at it. In this game, players are trying to get the most points. At the beginning of the game, you're going to pick an objective, which is essentially which culture you're going to be. And these cultures will have various objectives that you're trying to do. The more objectives you finish, the more points you're going to get at the end of the game. Players are going to be playing over 3 eras in this game. In each era, there's going to be 5 turns. In the middle of the table, it's going to start here with just this piece. And you'll see that these little dominoes that you're going to add as time goes by. On your turn, you're going to add one of these tiles to the board. Now, when you add a tile to the board, you're going to get knowledge based on how you place it. So if I place it here, for example, I'll get 1 blue, 1 red, 2 yellows, but because I match the yellows, I get an extra one, so that's 3 yellows. And then the middle one here, I'll also get. So I get 4 yellows, a red, and a blue knowledge. Now these stand for different types of knowledge: science, trade, art, government, religion, and craftsmanship. And as you get these, you're going to move them up. Although you'll notice that there's a little token here stopping you from going above. But after you take this knowledge, you can build a city on the board. You can build a level 1 city, which is just one of these here. I could build it on this spot, the blue spot here, but then that would require 3 blue. If I want to upgrade it to a level 2 city, that would require 6 blue, which is art, by the way. And if I want to build a level 3, that would build 9 blue. As I build these level cities, the amount that I can have of each type goes up. That's the maximum amount that you can have. You'll be moving it up each time. Cities are handy for a couple other reasons. If somebody builds next to you and they're going to get colors, you're also going to get a color where the city is. And if it's a higher level, so if you have, for example, a level 3 city here, I would get 3 of the purple or the religious knowledge whenever someone goes next to that. Also, when a player places the last spot here in a circle, this is called a locus, and so when I put this here, I form a locus, I get all the colors that are in here. So I would get green, 2 greens, 2 oranges, a yellow, a blue, and then of course the one from the what I placed down, a yellow. So players are going to place a tile, then they can build a city, or they can build a wonder of the world. At the beginning of the game, players are going to be picking several wonders of the world that you're going to use. And so, for example, here's a couple: the Great Wall and the Hanging Gardens. And instead of building a city, players can build the next level of whatever that is. So I can build the first Great Wall section here for 5 orange knowledge. Then you can build the second section for 4 green knowledge. You'll notice several of these sections will be giving victory points, and they may give other benefits. The first person to build it is also going to take it and add it to a legitimate spot on the board somewhere. And there are certain spots on these that if you build next to them, you'll get points. Some of the great wonders also will go on a locus like that, and again giving points based on the cities that are next to them. And at the end of the game, some of the objectives that players are trying to get might be controlling a monument, and you'll control a monument by having the most city levels next to a monument and cards of that monument. Players are also building a civilization tree. So at the beginning of the game, you simply start with fire, which basically gives you a free action. You can change 2 of one knowledge into 1 of any other knowledge. And as you build pieces of the Great Wall, or of any of the major wonders of the world, you'll be able to add them. This white gem is wild, so I can put any color adjacent to that. But if I'm attaching other things to my civilization, I'm going to have to make sure the colors match. After a player builds a city or a wonder of the world or upgrades a city that they have on the board, then players can develop. Now in this game it comes with a whole pile of things that you can develop, and there are the 6 different categories. So some of them are going to cost 3, some are going to cost 6, some will cost 9, although the 9 ones always have a prerequisite of another color. So like this one here, astronomy, requires me to have another 6 green in play. So when you decide to build one of these, you'll pay that amount of knowledge. You'll go and you'll pull it out. So maybe I want to build mathematics for each one of these, and you can only have one of each technology. There's going to be different colors on the side. So mathematics has 2 greens, a red and a blue, and then there's 4 different ways that you can build it. So I might pick this one here, place it here. I have to connect the colors. Remember, white matches anything. And these will sometimes give you points, but instead often give you special abilities. So for example, mathematics says every time I gain 2 when I put out those domino tiles, I will also gain 1. So every time I get 2 green, I get a 3rd one. Later on in the game, instead of putting out a new technology, I can upgrade a technology, flip it over, so now whenever I produce 2 green, I'll get an extra 2 green. And there's all sorts of things. I'll just show you, for example, navigation says at the start of your turn I get 1 green. I can upgrade that and get 2 green at the beginning of my turn. Every time I create a green gem, I get 2. Or I get 4 every time I create a green gem. These are the level 3s. The level 6s are better. I can assimilate a mastery card, which means I can copy someone else's technology. That's value 3. I start each age with 5 green right away, or maybe with 10 green. Here, at the end of each age, I get 3 points for each domain that has a notice in your civilization tree. The level 9s, I get a knowledge or for each green in my civilization tree. And there's points at the end of the game. Mastery cards, that's these. I call them technology cards, but they're called mastery cards. Cost me 2 less to develop or upgrade. Or I can ignore any prerequisites on mastery cards. And here again, the same thing, but this is also worth 13 points. So you can see there's all sorts of cool cards. And I just showed you 1 color. There are 6 different colors of cards you can get. Now as the game progresses, players are going to be scoring victory points and keeping track of them on this big victory point tracker. You're also going to be scoring influence. You'll get influence every time you build a city, and a lot of the mastery cards give you influence. At the end of each era, whoever has the highest influence is going to be able to assimilate, copy a technology that someone else has, and players will score victory points for where they are on this track. So that's important to stay high on that track. So you're going to be building wonders of the world, you're going to be building cities, you're going to be doing different things to get victory points over the course of the game. And as I said, trying to accomplish your goals. Goals will look something like this. For example, 5 upgraded technologies, have 45 influence, have this many of these gems built in your tree, control 1 wonder of the world, have 5 level 1 cities, 1 level 2 city, and 1 level 3 city. The more of these you do, the more victory points you get at the end of the game. One interesting thing is at the end of every era, you're going to reset all your resources. You don't get to keep resources between eras, but whoever has the most leftover resources of each type is going to win a card of that type. So if I have the most leftover orange resources, I'll get 1 victory point, and also once during this age I can put out 2 land tiles instead of 1. And there's a special ability for each one. In fact, picking the governor gives you 6 victory points, and you pick the turn order for the next age. After the end of the game, they're all worth just 3 victory points, but still, it's a way to utilize extra resources that a player has. And that's pretty much the game. It's going to take place over 3 ages. Each age has 5 turns. In between each age, you're going to hand out those cards. There's a few other things, but essentially that's the game. You place a tile, then you can build 1 city or 1 piece of the wonder of the world, and then you can develop 1 card or upgrade 1 card. And then after 15 turns, the game's over. Most points is the winner. There's a lot of pieces in this game. I mean, it comes with these nice plastic boxes to keep all the text in, but there's a lot of text. And even though there's these really nice cards that tell you everything, this is going to be a little overwhelming for people the first time. They're going to look and go, oh, but wait, there's more. Here's all the upgraded ones. Now, fortunately, a lot of the buildings do the same thing. Navigation at the start of your turn, gain 1 green. Caravan at the start of your turn, gain 1 yellow. gain 1 red. All the small technologies are very similar. It's when they get bigger that they're different. And then on here, they just show you what gems are on the outside of them. So it's not too complicated, but they have 6 of these cards for each player. That's still a lot. There's a lot of pieces in the game. They fit in this nice plastic insert, except the monuments. When all the monuments are built, they don't fit in here. I think I might have some extra monuments, maybe, because of a Kickstarter version, possibly. But I found that to be unfortunate. I had to take some of the monuments apart to put them in there, and I hate taking things apart. These are pretty cool. The city marker's a little bland, but when you put them together, you're going to have to play a few times. They're starting to come apart a little easier for me now, but the first time we put them together, it was kind of a pain. And the whole thing does have a very abstracted look to it. Now, when you build your own, tree, that looks kind of cool. It's fun to put this together and see how it builds. But the whole game does take a lot of table space. And I like these boards. They're recessed boards. These little tokens are really small, though, so you got to be careful about losing them. Each player has their own reference card, so that's pretty helpful. And I might also say that, even though you have, for example, these civilizations, Roman and Incan, they're really not, you're not going to feel like it's that civilization. They just have different things. They said that they made them kind of to match that, and yes, I get Rome wants big cities and such, but yeah, you're not going to feel like that specific civilization. A lot of components, though, and all the cards and everything are good quality. There are some negatives to Dominations. First of all, it's very prone to analysis paralysis because you have so many options. I think there are 12 buildings per color. 12 of those cards per color. There are 6 colors. That's a lot of options, and you can upgrade them. There's a ton going on. So I think the game will actually play best at 2, then 3, then 4. 4 is fine, but realize you're in for the long haul. As I said at the beginning, also, it is very abstracted. You're placing dominoes, and even though you put out the cool Great Wall or the Hanging Gardens or the Mausoleum or the Colossus of Rhodes or whatever the thing is, there's not a lot of strong theme in here. And yet I love it. I really, really like this game. It's an engine builder at heart, and I tend to like those games, but there's just something extremely satisfying about placing a domino out, getting 5, 6 resources or so, sometimes 7, manipulating those dials, looking at those dials, saying, how can I build this card, putting cards there, getting these cool upgrades, and I upgrade this, buying Wonders of the World, and by the time you're done, by the time you're at the end of the game, you feel like, oh, look, okay, at the beginning of my turn, I'll take 2 green, 1 blue, and a yellow. Then I place this out here, I get 3 yellow, a red, and this, which will allow me to buy this piece of the Wonder of the World, and I'll do this, and oh, it's so good. So good. I think it's fairly balanced, too. The different civilizations have goals to get to. It's really hard to get to those goals. I've seen someone get all of them, but they're very difficult. Many of the goals look impossible, overly daunting at the beginning of the game, but you can work towards them. You can also pretty much ignore them and just go for victory points in other ways. There's very little luck in this game. At the beginning of the game, everyone's going to draw 2 Wonders of the World. You pick the one you want to see in the game, and you'll draw 2 civilizations, kind of giving your objectives, and you pick one of those. After that, there's nothing else. I mean, the tiles you get, I guess, the tiles that you have, that you place out, that's kind of lucky. You draw 7 of those at the beginning, and you'll be playing 5 of them each turn. But you don't like your luck? You can play one of those mastery cards that gives you 2 more tiles. Or you can go for the person that gives you an extra tile every turn. There's so many cool different facets of this game. I haven't come close to discovering all of them, and yet I find myself amazingly fascinated. This is going to be compared to a lot is Tapestry from Stonemaier Games, which is another civilization game that's fairly abstract that came out last year. There's a lot of similarities between these games. They're both about building an engine. They both have a thin layer of theme on them. They both have very few ways to mess with your opponent. This game has a very tiny few ways. And there's ways that you're interacting with each other, but it's mostly kind of a solitaire style game. I give this one the edge. For me, I like Tapestry, but I love this game, and I think it's because I like manipulating all those resources, and I also like the fact that Tapestry had those Tapestry cards. Sometimes you draw the right card for the right civ, and you win. I prefer the more straightforwardness of this, and this I just feel like I have this wide open field of what am I going to do next. Every game of this, I'm doing something different. This is kind of an interesting game. I really love it. I think it's fantastic, but I know it's not for everybody. It's not for people who are overwhelmed by a bunch of choices. It's not for people who are going to sit there and go, really, that's it? You're just kind of manipulating numbers, and you can almost see I shouldn't say almost, you can see definitely the system pressing through the theme. And I still think it's fantastic. I think it's just that satisfaction of, really the turn's simple. It's place a tile, build something, build a card. That's it, right? But it's the choices you have. And I feel great about building Wonders of the World. I feel great about building this network of cards in front of me. And I'm doing kind of a bunch of games, a bunch of mechanisms together, but they flow together and fit together in such a fantastic way. There's expansions for this. I haven't even touched those. I haven't even really looked at them. The base game by itself, just an absolute pleasure to play. I don't know if this game's going to be a big hit. I know there's some people who are going to absolutely love it. Some of the people I played with loved it. Some of the people I liked it. Some of the people said, man, it's okay. But for me, it's amazing, and I really like it. Dominations. I'm Tom Vasel. We'll see you next time on the Dice Tower. Dice Tower Judgment, excellent.